look at running our light board here, and I'm using um, a Mac-based VNC to show the screen, which would be better than me holding a camera up over the screen. And so basically what I did was, and we'll get into this at some point probably, is using a VNC viewer called Chicken, and you simply excuse me, put in the IP address, and it pulls up the screen on your light board as long as that's online. So I did that, and I'm already connected here, and so we're ready to go. So looking at a couple of things on here, the right side here shows that we're running Lion King. So if I was to push play, the first cue for Lion King would come up, and on the left side we have Beauty and the Beast 2. So if I push play over here on the left side, then the first cue for Beauty and the Beast would come up. So, and then we have our faders up here. Now, the board looks like this. This is a literal view of the board. Obviously, it's a little bit harder to run it like we're doing now, but you can still grab, click, and drag things, and as I'm doing that, lights are coming up on the stage, and you can see here when I pull up fader 1, and if I just click down here, just like if I did on the board, that light's coming up, and you can go along with me as I do this, so you know what's going on. These may be different, like where it says Beauty and the Beast and Lion King, and I'll show you how to change those. But this is the default where the board starts off, okay? So first thing we're going to do, let's say, all right, that you are just running cues that have already been set up, okay? And if you're new to it, that may be what you're doing now. So in order to do that, what you'll do is you'll go down to the bottom right to play, right here, and you'll press that with your finger. Again, I'm using a mouse because I'm on a viewer on a computer. Okay, we'll come to this screen. This is the memory, as you see here, by play. This is the memory page. And you can pull up different sliders and record different sliders here, and it will bring up the cues, and you can manually run the show from here. And it's pretty easy to do that. You have different pages that you can go on, all that type of stuff. But typically for me, I only use this during a Live Music is Better concert. And other than that, this page really doesn't get used. So we'll go to Write Playback. Okay, and here we are on the Lion King cues. Now, Lion King was summer of 2017. So unless you're doing Lion King again and you're using the exact same lights in the exact same places and slots, which you aren't, it's not useless. I keep it because some of the effects on here are still good, and you can go through these if you want to see some of the different things that we did, if this is still available on the light board. And you can also use this to see like what this means and how I used this, which if you click here on the pencil for edit, you can see that this is a fade it takes 35 seconds to fade it, but the effect here, why it's showing this, is because if you go down one on the edit panel, it says follow on after fade. So after start is finished, then it's going to continue to Circle of Life, and then Circle of Life 2, Circle of Life 3 will happen, and then it's a manual cue, so you wait for go on this one here. This board is a little tricky in that you would think that if you wanted to stop continuing on, you would come to this one, and this is where your light and sound software don't really intermingle that well together because they run separately from one between the other. So you would come to this last cue, and what this means is that wait for go is going to affect this cue not this cue. So this one still automatically continues, and then your wait for go is the next one. So it's a little bit confusing, but anyways, that we can get into more later, or just as you experiment with different effects and whatnot, keep that in mind. So let's jump back now, because that was a bit of a rabbit trail. Sorry about that. So we're selecting our playlist. So we've gone to right playback. We're on Lion King. Now we want to go to select playlist on the right-hand side here. And then we'll pick our latest playlist. Right now we're in White Christmas, which is playlist 5. I know that because I'm the one that created the playlists. If you want to name your playlist, which is always a good idea like I did with these other ones, and let's say we want to name playlist 5, we're going to go to edit, our little pencil here. And we're going to click, careful what you click, because if you click the little warning symbol, you may delete the playlist, and I'm not going to mess with this one, but I'll come over here to Calendar Girls, and I'll click that, and see if I click delete, that's it. Takes it away, and it's gone. You can get into previous saves and pull it back again, but it's tough. It's a pain in the butt to do that. So just make sure you don't delete something accidentally. If you want to name the playlist, move your finger somewhere to the outside here and click, and then you can name it. I know that's very confusing, and it's kind of tough to do. And then you'll click this, see the names here, you'll click the keyboard, and then you can rename it to White Christmas. Click the green check, and then this is your release time. When you go to release something, you have to worry about that. Run at startup. We could change this to yes. We'll leave it right now at, if I can get it to go the other way, at no. But that's an option that we could do, because right now Lion King's running at startup, which we'll take a look at that. And then done. You come over here and click on Lion King. Oh, and it says no, it's not running on startup, but obviously it is. So that's in the logs of the board, which we'll get to later. So White Christmas is there. We click done, and then it brings us back to where we were. So what we'll do is we'll select playlist again. Okay, now we can click on White Christmas, and here we are finally. Now it's very simple from here. Okay, it's just a matter of going forward, and if you mess up something, then moving backwards. So your right playlist, what this means is our playback is this play button for right playback. Left would obviously be this fader this fader with the play button for left playback. Alright? But I stick with the right. Most people are right-handed. If you went with left playback, you'd have to go to select playlist, and because right now it's on Beauty and the Beast, as you can see up here, and select White Christmas. And there you go. So now they're both on White Christmas, but we're going to go back to right playback. You can do a mixed. The mixed has what you would have on right playback, left playback, and all of your faders. That can get confusing, very easy to mess stuff up, so stick with one or the other. If you want to play your first cue, hit the play button. Let's say that there's a series of cues that are all very close, and an actor skips a light cue, or you miss a light cue, or something happens, and instead of playing this next one, see the green arrow means, the green play button means this is what's going to play next, which yellow is what's currently on. So they skip Battlefield, and you just have to immediately go to a blue out. Well, you can double tap the cue, and then push play, and it will go to that one. Or, let's say, let's go back up to Q1 here. You can triple click, and it will immediately go to that one. You can also just hit the play button a couple times, and it will go to your next cue, but that means that this one's going to play and this one's going to play. That can mess up your lights, specifically your LED lights. The last cue that you hit is the one that's going to play, but if you have some color changes or strobe effects or anything like that, they're going to play on the LEDs. So watch out for that. Okay, so if you're in a rehearsal, or if you accidentally click too many and you go to let yourself go and you're supposed to be on a blue out, click step back right here, and this will play that cue. You can step forward, and obviously it will quickly play the next cue, but don't worry about that right now. because you have your play button. So really, out of any of these, you're going to use step back. You can use the go button from here. You can do a pause. So see, as we're going here, it pauses, then goes back. Don't get too involved with this one. For right now, let's stick with go and step back. At the end of the show, you'll want to release the cues. Alright, and what this does, when you click that, it turns off all of your lights. If you don't release your cues, lights will stay on. And they'll stay on until the next time you turn on the board. Very much the same if you have a fader that's all the way up, and you've released all of your cues, and this over here, capture, you can click this. Alright, so if we did have any other lights that were still up for some reason, we can click that, and that will release them. Click it again, release all active cues and memories. What that means is just it's going to release any cues that you have playing right now. It's going to turn all of your lights off and release everything, which is a good idea to do too before you turn off the board. So you do this, you go, okay, looks good, everything's off. You click the power button, you turn it off, and then you turn it on again, and immediately number 12 comes up. Well, because you left this fader all the way up. So when you turn off the board, if any lights are up, they'll stay on until the next time you turn the board on. And then it will pick up where all of your faders are, and it will make that action the next time you turn it on. So if all of your lights are up, you turn off the board, they'll stay up. You bring the faders down while the board's off. When the board turns back on, the lights will turn off because that's what it's picking up, the faders, as their last movement. So make sure all of your faders are down. Make sure you've released everything. Then you can turn off the board. Okay, that's a quick, simple, easy introduction to the board. Alright, so if that's as far as you need to go, you can go and stop the video here, but we're going to keep going to learn as much as we can about this board in however long it takes. Okay, so let's go to cue writing. So everything's released here, very good. We'll go to select. Alright, let's say we need to bring up a couple of lights. Let's bring up 1, 5, I'm just arbitrarily grabbing lights, and 17, okay, and that's our area that we're lighting up. Alright, and we probably don't want them all the way at 100, so we're going to go with around 75%, somewhere in that ball field. Alright, that looks good, that's nice, we like it, let's record it. You're going to go to record, and then we come back to the memory page. Now, if this were a Live Music is Better concert, I'm going to pick, if it's my wash, I'll pick my wash, and I can click done, and it will record here. But we're recording for a regular show. So we're going to go to cue. Alright, and it first brings me to the very first one on my playlist, Beauty and the Beast, and that's not what I want. Let's go with a new one. We're going to add list. This will be a brand new playlist. Then we can rename it from Q1 to test for this. And feel free to follow along with me. You won't hurt anything by making a new playlist and recording some light cues. Green arrow. The fade time, we're going to bring that down to 2 seconds. Is typically what I'll do for a regular light fade. 3, a little bit longer if I want to add some effects, 4 or 5 seconds, but then we're talking it takes quite a while. Longer light cues or fade times will happen with a specific effect in mind, going from morning to a rainstorm or something outside. I may run a long fade so the audience doesn't realize that it's happening. Different things like that. Okay. Once this is ready to go, I'll click done, and there we go. Alright, I like that. Now our next one, let's do this. Won't do it that way. Okay. Oh, that's another thing that I should mention. What I did there was I brought the fader down, and it was still up because, I'll show you right now, I have this capture on, I release it. See, I made all those changes, and I didn't save anything, and that's why that red CAPT, the capture, was showing up. once you click that, it releases all the changes and it goes back to what you did before. Then you look at your faders and go, well, everything's down, but these lights are up. You have to bring your fader back up to meet where the cue is at, which is 71%, and then bring it down. Same thing over here. And same thing over here. Okay? Again, if you click this, it'll bring those cues right back up. Good thing to note during a show, if you accidentally bring a wrong fader up, that you can release it and everything will go back to normal. Now, let's say our next cues are going to be, our next areas, 10, 11, and 19. Okay? We like how that looks. We're going to record. We'll click something that you can do to just update the fade times. I like that. Let's go with that. 2 seconds is good, and then we'll name this Test 2. Alright, all that looks fine, so I'm going to click Done, and then I have 3 options. I can replace the existing cue, which means Test becomes Test 2, and it takes on the new lights and everything else, and it completely erases. Insert before existing cue. If I look at a cue and go, oh, I needed to put a blackout here, that'd be a spot where we insert it before. Most of the time, you're going to be inserting it after existing cue. So we click that, brings us back to the front here. If you're looking at the board physically, to the right side of the board and up is another screen that's tied into this board. What that screen does is it acts as obviously a second screen to the board, and it shows you which cue's playing, and it will show you your list of cues, shows you any faders that are up, etc., etc. It's very helpful, and you'll be watching that a lot whenever you're running cues and creating cues. For this exercise, since we don't have that here, you can go back to play, select my playlist, get onto the correct playlist. Okay, there we go. Test and Test 2. Perfect. Now I can step back and take a look at my lights. Okay, perfect. Those are playing correctly. Let's go forward. These are fading down. These are fading in. All right, excellent. Everything looks good here. So then we will go to our LEDs. Okay, something that you can do. Let's go ahead and release all of these. There we go, and we'll bring our faders down. Something that you can do to select all of your LEDs is click right here. You can make groups, all right? And the way that you'll make a group is you'll click on a couple of lights, and then you can create a group by going to Settings. You can name certain lights, whatever. This will help you like with your LEDs. Like we have ETC color source pars, and you can find those in here. And then you can name those lights, and that will take on those traits. Like we have our LEDs right now hooked up from 35 to 70, and each of those lights takes five numbers. Okay, so you go to 30. I'm trying to do this in as simple terms as possible. So you go to number 35, and 35, 36, 37, 38, and 39 all belong to that one light because there's a red, green, blue, and then there's another green color in it. There's 2 greens, and then there's a strobe, which is your effects. So it takes all 5 of those to for one light, all 5 channels for one light, okay? Or DMX slots. Now making a group, I'm sorry, I lied. This is just if you're going to add in a new light. I do, honestly, I do groups so little that I cannot remember right now how to do it. It's not super important. Again, I do it so infrequently that I almost never do it. One way that you can do it is by going through settings, and then you pick your type of light. Let's say we've got, hold on, let me get down to our ETC, unless it takes too long, and then I won't. This would be a good thing for you to do anyways. Alright, there we go. See, we have that right there. We can apply that to that light. And then we can also do properties. We can give it a light name, all that type of stuff. We can see here, if we go down to, or go over, I should say, it's a 35. Alright, so 33, 34, 35. The top is the actual DMX address, or the channel. So 35, 36, 37, 38, 39 are all on 35. Alright, this is what it's addressed to. We have our, I'm sorry, and I lied, it's not 2 greens, it's only 1 green that's on there. There's 2 greens in the light though, which you can look more into later. We have intensity, red, green, blue, and strobe. Alright, then 40. We have the same thing, 45, same thing, so on and so forth. Okay? So again, let me cancel that. And right now, you know, we're going to skip the group thing because I just frankly can't remember for the life of me how to do it. I know it's not hard, it's just one of those things that I never do. So anyways, if we wanted to select our color source pars and take these off, which you can do just by putting your finger on them. We have our color source par here, and I believe this came up automatically because I added in more of them. And so if I was to select all of our dimmers, that's selecting all of them because I selected color source par and dimmer. So if I did none, dimmer, see everything's going to show up. That's not a color source par. Click none, and that's how I did it. That's right. There we go. See, we're remembering together. Anyways, this selects all of your color source pars. Then, what you do, because you can go on your, the faders here obviously go up to 20, and then as you switch screens, there's always 20 faders available, or 20 channels here that are available, and 14 will become 34. So if I bring up 14, there you go, you see 34's up. So 30, I could just bring up the light, number 35, the intensity, as you saw on the patch screen, and then bring it down, and that'll just bring up a white light. Okay? But if I want to do a color, what I'll first go to is control, like we just did, and then I'll bring it up to, let's say, 50% for now, because these are much brighter than the halogen lamps. So we're at 50%. Looks good. If I want to do an effect just with white light, come over here to Effects, New Effect, and there's all these different effects that we can create, control, whatever. Let me show you how to do a strobe, because strobe is the most often used intensity effect to date. I've used some of the other ones, but it's mostly a strobe, and it's a really weird way that you have to do the strobe. It's a glitch in the system, and maybe they fixed it by now. Probably not. So if you do this, what you should be seeing once you click strobe is all of your lights are coming on and off at different times, and they're not doing it together, so it doesn't really look like a good strobe effect. Go to go to Wheels, and you see you have your strobe is open right now. We're going to bring it up to 17 Hertz. Which is a good, quick strobe. You can adjust this to whatever you need, but for right now we're going to do 17. And I can see here, they're flashing on and off every so often, and the other ones will be going pretty quickly. By other ones I mean 40 through 70, and I'm just watching one right now. So you do that, and you go, okay, all that looks fine. Why isn't it working? Well, once you click Stop Effect, they should all be flashing right now. Alright, it's weird, I know it doesn't make sense, but it's what happens. And if they're all strobing right now, then you go ahead and click record, and set your time for whatever, 2 seconds to strobe on and off, or actually typically with a strobe you'll do 0 seconds so that it automatically just happens. Test 3, it already named that for us, great, done. It adds it to the end, and to save everyone from having a seizure, release all of that. And they should be released now from strobing. We'll select our color source par again. Go to Control. We don't have any effects. That's good. So let's say we're just doing a color though, just doing a gel effect. All right, so back on, and let's just to make sure, release them all the way. Select our color source pars, go to control, 50%. All right, now let's pick our color. So we'll go to color. A couple different ways you can do this. You have the color picker, which you can just grab your finger, drag it across, and it will do all of these different colors. If you want to do a rainbow effect so that 35 through 70 is broken up into different colors, go ahead and click that. Your mirrors, all that. Single color. Oh, if you do a rainbow and then you click the width, it's a wider array of colors. Sometimes it looks good, sometimes it doesn't. Right now we only have 8 lights, so it's a limited rainbow, but let's stick with single color for right now. If you want to do a gel, which with most straight places, what you're going to do is just a gel color. All of the gel colors are here. We have Roscoe, Lee, Gam, Apollo. All right? And so what you'll do is you'll come down to pick, I typically use a Roscoe because that's the most used gel colors. And then I'll go right to left. And these are all of my gels. And you see here 7 of 8, 8 of 8. Okay? To mix in with one of the gels that we usually use here at the theater, which is, I can't remember if it's a surprise pink. No, it's it's no color pink that we use a lot here. The LEDs are creating the actual gel color, whereas the halogen lamps are a yellow color to start, just because that's the color that comes out of the lamp. Once you put a gel in front of that, you're mixing that yellow color in with the pink, so it's different from just going on your LED and selecting no color pink. So what you'll do is in the LEDs there's a color correction, and that kind of helps, and no color pink's right down here. Typically what I'll choose is a rose tint, or a you can try bastard amber, sometimes that works. Rose gold sometimes works, something light, and that mixes in pretty well to get a close color to the no color pink. Okay? You can pick all the different gel colors here. You can do color effects. There's also an effect here. There's only 2. There's a rainbow and a step. And if you do a rainbow, it makes all of these different colors come on through the LEDs, as you see if you go ahead and click that. You can adjust the rate so that it changes them faster, which is usually something that I have to do. And you can see it's changing quite quickly now. Turned it up too high. You can do, you can try color correcting stuff. Some of these wheels and options work better than others. Some of them don't really work at all. And then we will release this, stop all that from continuing. Okay, so you know how to pick colors in the LEDs, you know how to do effects with the LEDs. You can run some effects with regular halogen lights as well. Go to intensity, go to effects. You don't have as many. You do. You don't have as many options, I should say. And you want to be careful with how you do it, because you could, blow a bulb, wear your lights out by doing strobe effects and different things like that. But you can do them all here, and it's the same principle as with the LED lights. So keep that in mind, that you have that option as well. Okay, so there's other things that you can do, like chases. If you're familiar with lighting, you know what a chase is. Running a chase is a little bit harder, and it doesn't flow as easily. You do it just by going into your cue list, go to options, and make it a chase. You say that it is a chase, and something cool that you can do is you can set the let me see, where do you go for that? Oh, here you go. You go over to chase, and you go to rate, and you can tap that, and it will set the beats per minute. So if you're doing a
concert on the fly, or even if you're setting it up beforehand. You can, and you have, you know, some color lights or some type of effect that would look good going in time with the music. You can tap that sync, and it will set that for you. So if you do it ahead of time, all you have to do is set the beats per minute, or you know, tap along with it, and then we'll set that, and then you just push play, and then it runs. The issue is with a chase, there's no good way to come out of a chase because it's running the whole cue list. And you can set the chase to be, you know, hard changes or, you know, reverse bounce, all that type of stuff. But then when you come out of it, you have to have something else at the ready. So if I'm running a chase, what I'll do is my chase is here, and if it's a concert, I'll have my wash up, and so I'll play the chase. And so it's running through those, and then you have to release it, and then either have something else ready to go, ready to play, or you have to have your fader up so that once you release this, this should still be up, or you release this and then immediately hit play, and your next cue comes up over here. So it's kind of tough to run a good chase on this board. It's not impossible, but there are just easier ways to do it, like creating an effect in the lights, like we just did with the LEDs or with the halogens or whatever, where you're doing some different lighting changes and strobe effects or whatever. You can create that within the cue and have that run, and then it will come out of it whenever you set it. You know, if you are doing a strobe or some color bouncing, something like that, you can set that within a single cue, and then, you know, click to go to your next cue without having to release and then have something else come up or whatever. You can keep it all in one cue list, which is much easier. To take it off of cue, or take it off of chase rather, you just click the is chase, and it will remove that. Okay. So going back to the main page here, that's pretty much everything you need to know in order to create a show with the lighting board. Okay? To set up the lights, to move the lights. Hopefully you know how to do that. If not, there will be some videos on that. Other things that you may want to know about this pin. You can pin certain cues, or certain lights, and go to different, to test them out, go to different pages, pin those, all that stuff, and then record it. I don't do that. Some people out there, I'm sure, will say that there's a good reason to do that. I've never used it, though. That's up to you. You can play with that. One thing that is worth knowing is if you have, let's say you have typically, if you're doing a, regular straight play with a lot of lights across the stage, you'll have, up to 20 lights that are running. And if all of it just looks too bright, or if it's supposed to get dimmer, what you can do is, let's go back to one of our cues here. We'll play this one. Okay, so we have these three that are on. Again, typically there's more, but you can select all, because although it's selecting 1 through 100, the only ones that what I'm about to do is really going to affect are 1, 5, and 17. And you can grab your yellow knob here and bring it, is it not that one? Maybe B, maybe C. Yeah, maybe, oh, you know what, I'm sorry. You'll want to go to Control, make sure you're on wheels for this, or libraries. I think it's wheels. Let's try that. Yeah, there it is. And you can just spin A down, and it will bring the intensity down. And that's a much easier way to go about that than having to set each one. And it also keeps everything relative. The other way that you can do that, oops, sorry, with none, you can go through and individually select them real quick. And then you can, that way, if you need to bring them back up, you can. And if you select all and bring something up, then obviously all of the lights are going to come up, and you don't want that. But an easy way to bring them up and down, just select them, and then you can wheel up or wheel down instead of having to adjust each one, relative to the other ones that you're resetting, which can be a nightmare. So this will keep a nice even look for you. Let's go ahead and release that completely. Okay, if you click the power button, you have three options here. You want your outputs to be, you want to leave this one alone. There's current show, dearly departed. Well, that's not right, but it doesn't hurt anything either. You can go to setup, all right, and this has all of your information on it. You have your system, you have your network, it shows the IP address, shows your net mask, input outputs, leave that alone. Your rooms, haven't played with that yet. Haven't played with a lot of this stuff because I haven't needed to. Upgrade. That's if you want to upgrade the board to the next step, but you don't have to worry about that. Software. You can update the system. We'll show you that at the very end. There's two ways you can do it. You can either update like this through the board, or you go on to, I think it's pathwayconnectivity.com. You can just Google it, though. Look for updates there for the Cognito V2 board. And then you download that to a computer. You put it on a flash drive, plug the flash drive in, and then you come here and you'll have update from USB, and you'll do that, and it shows that online how to do that as well. It tells you how to do it. You can also contact their help desk, or not their help desk, but the company itself through email. They respond very, very quickly, pretty much at all hours of the day. They've been fantastic. We even received calls from them. They're in Canada. So you can't really call them that easily unless you have international calling, but they will call you, and very helpful. Sometimes if you're having an issue with something, they want you to send logs to them. It's easy to do that. Alright, so let's exit here for a minute though. If you want to power off the board, click power off, click it again, and it'll go off. Or you just click it once and then wait like 5 seconds or 3 seconds and it will turn off. You have a couple seconds there to push cancel though, which can be helpful. If you need information about the board, click here and then it brings you to this page, and you can learn a lot of stuff about this board and its different features just from here. For example, show control. And you go to, oh no, I'm sorry, it's other features. Network remote access, click on that, and it tells you how to do what I'm doing right now, which is a VNC viewer. I'm on an Apple computer, so I use Chicken, and I can control the whole thing through that. Windows, it's Tiger, and then through different apps, it's Mocha. Okay? And all you have to do is put in as it shows you right down here, you put in the IP address, and this is what it looks like on the Mac. For the host, this is where you put it in, and then you click connect, and it immediately brings it up so long as the board's up. If you don't know where to find the IP address on here, just X out of this, go to setup, go to network, and there it is. That's all you have to have right there, the 10.0.1.50. Okay? So let's go ahead and see if there's any upgrades. We'll update the system. See, and it's not connecting right now, which is interesting. It's not wanting to pull it from the internet, but that's okay. So if you had your USB plugged in right now, there's two USB ports on the front of the board, which make it very easy to update. You would see a long file name here, and that's where you would that's what you would click to update that. Okay, and it's okay. It doesn't show it here. That's no problem. All right, so that is the board. And that is the Cognito V2, a quick, easy way to get set up with this thing. Oh, by the way, if you do have a cue playing and you need to bring it down quickly for some reason, you can grab the fader above the play button and bring them down, and that will fade it out. Just wanted to throw that in there as well. Feel free to just play around on this thing, explore its different options, find out the different things that it can do. We're going to go ahead while I'm talking and finishing this up, delete this playlist, and just learn all you can about it. It's a great board. It's a great system. And yeah, just look at all the different stuff that it can do. And hope that helps. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.